Number 10, the Bombastic Bagman. Okay, so I'll say outright that I may be a little bit biased when it comes to this one because it is one of the funniest Spider-Man suits I've ever seen, and it's also one of my favorites. Now when Reed Richards first examined the alien symbiote and separated it from Peter, he was left without a costume, and obviously he couldn't go web slinging without a costume, as it would just reveal his true identity. So what did he do? Well, thanks to the Human Torch, he was given a spare Fantastic Four costume to cover his body, a paper bag to cover his face, and a good old kick me sign was placed on his back by Johnny himself as a prank. Note how I didn't mention that he got any shoes of any kind, so he literally walked around barefoot in basically a onesie and with a paper bag over his head. The only real redeeming quality is that the suit itself was made of unstable molecules, which insulated the wearer from electrical assaults and performed all other functions any of the Fantastic Four's own suits would. Other than that though, it's just a silly look, and man, do I love it. Check it out in its first appearance in 1984's Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, number 258. Number 9, Negative Zone Suit. This suit worn by Peter was one that he gained during his time in the Negative Zone. He ventured into the Negative Zone to rescue 3 children, and much to his surprise, once he set foot in that mysterious zone, his costume was altered. Changing from its normal red and blue, it transformed into a black and white suit, and that actually gave Peter a pretty sweet advantage as it made him pretty much invisible in the Negative Zone. There have been a few other instances where Peter has donned this suit, one that may or may not get covered a little bit later on this list, and then another time after Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, touched his costume and forced it to change color. Check out this suit for yourself in pretty much every Spider-Man video game out there, or head on over to 1998 Spider-Man number 90. Number 8, Dusk. During a period of time where Spider-Man wasn't allowed to keep acting as Spider-Man because he was accused of some pretty terrible and serious crimes, he adopted a few different personas so that he could continue saving lives. One of these personas was Dusk, and as Dusk he pretended to be a mercenary with a quiet and serious personality. Peter used all 4 of his new identities to confuse his foes and to contradict speculation that the new heroes were all in fact the same person. Once he cleared his name, he abandoned all of his new personas though. Now the Dusk suit allows the user to become virtually invisible in the shadows and glide short distances. Cassie St. Commons also wore the suit for some time after that, and then after her death and revival, the suit was altered using Dark Force energy, which allowed her to teleport herself and others anywhere she wished to be. She could also manipulate shadows to form objects or constructs of solid dark energy, could regenerate damaged tissue, and she had a clairvoyant ability to sense the whereabouts of all of her teammates. Check out this suit in action in its first appearance in 1998 Spider-Man number 90. Number 7, Spider-Man 2211 Suit. Max Bourne of Earth 9500 in the year 2211 was not only a time spinner, he was the Spider-Man of that universe and time as well. His costume differs greatly from most other Spidey suits, as it's more of a spider armor than a suit, with the only real similarity being the color scheme. Now his armor has 4 extra mechanized arms, is bulletproof, except at point blank range, and includes a guided webbing, electro webbing, supplied air, visual sensors, rocket boots, and a time traveling engine. Not only that, Bourne's technology in a suit allows him to view alternate timelines, perform mind wipes, and use advanced stochastic modeling to forecast the most probable future events. Check it and Spider-Man 2211 out for yourself, starting with 1995 Spider-Man 2099 meets Spider-Man number 1. Number 6, the Antiox Suit. Making its first appearance in 2018's Marvel's Spider-Man PS4, this suit is an upgraded version of Peter's advanced suit that he wears throughout the base game. He had been working on the advanced suit for quite some time while he was working at Octavius Industries, using any materials that were used for their work on prosthetic limbs. Now funnily enough, it was thanks to Otto's design and augmentations that the suit was able to come to life. When Octavius went rogue and kidnapped Mayor Osborn and got a hold of the anti-serum for the Devil's Breath, Peter quickly completed this suit to be able to fight on par with Dr. Octopus's tentacles. This suit is pretty similar to most of his other suits, however it has a resupply feature that distributes nano mesh that continuously refills the webbing or any other gadget that he has on hand. The suit also seems to act like some sort of extra armor for Peter, as in that final battle with Doc Ock, the suit gets partially damaged and you can see his regular old suit underneath it. Check it out for yourself by replaying or just straight up playing for the first time 2018 Spider-Man PS4. Number 5, Electro Proof Suit. Although this suit is not super well known and generally considered pretty weak, this suit is actually a lot stronger than you might think and has saved Peter's life. The Electro-Proof Suit is exactly what it sounds like. It's a suit that was specifically designed to combat against Electro's powerful and thunderous attacks. With rubber padding running throughout the costume, this costume not only featured an interesting design choice, it made Electro's attacks pretty much harmless. Turns out not every scenario needs a complicated solution. That being said though, this suit is pretty useless against any other villain, but oh man, when it comes to Electro, just super effective. Check it out for yourself in its first appearance in 1997's Amazing Spider-Man number 425. Number 4, Penny Parker's SPDR Suit. For First introduced in the Spider-Verse event, Penny Parker is a young girl whose father originally piloted a mech suit known as the SPDR. After her father's death, Penny was instructed by her universe's version of Aunt May and Uncle Ben that only she could pilot the suit thereafter. What's so unique about the SPDR suit is that it has a living radioactive spider within it that powers the entire CPU. While the suit definitely stands out amongst other Spidey costumes, its heavy armor, unique control system, and weapons make SPDR a true force to be reckoned with. This suit is ridiculously powerful, mainly due to the fact that its limitations were never actually written. Like many other manga robots, the SPDR suit is equipped with essentially any type of weapon that the plot calls for, with seemingly unlimited defenses, and then not to mention that it literally lets her travel across dimensions. Why not check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2014's Edge of Spider-Verse, number 5. Number 3. Stealth Suit. While fighting the Hobgoblin, he discovered that he had no protection whatsoever against the villain's sonic screams. After being defeated by the Hobgoblin, Peter returned to his job at Horizon's lab and decided to create a new defensive suit, therefore entered the Stealth Suit, aka the Enter the Big Time suit. This suit is constructed of an omniharmonic mesh composed of unstable molecules, which not only renders the suit to eliminate all input and output of sound, but allows it to repair itself if damaged. The molecules also allow for a sort of camouflage ability to hide in plain sight, which is kind of a must when it comes to a stealth suit. All that being said though, it does have a few drawbacks, but all in all, the Big Time costume has been used by Spidey multiple times, and it continues to be one of the most reliable costumes in his wardrobe. Check it out for yourself in 2011's Amazing Spider-Man number 650. Number 2. The Mark III. Also known as Peter's Ends of the Earth suit, Mark III of the Spider Armor is easily one of, if not the best, version of the armor. During the Ends of the Earth storyline, Dr. Octopus and the Sinister Six were attempting to hold the planet hostage by speeding up the greenhouse effect within the planet, so Spidey decided that he was in need of an upgrade. With almost no hope for victory at all, Peter poured his blood, sweat, and tears into making this suit, and man did it pay off. The armor is electro-proof, impact resistant, offers well-protected web shooters, and enhanced sensors are within the suit's lenses. Not only that though, this suit also allows Peter to fly thanks to built-in jet boosters, allows Spider-Man to communicate with his fellow Avengers through a comm link, and has a built-in utility belt that contains pretty much every gadget Peter has ever made. Get why it's so high up on this list today? Good. Check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2012's Amazing Spider-Man number 682. Number 1. Spider-Man 2099. Now Miguel O'Hara, the Spider-Man of 2099, has had 2 different costumes, so let's go over both of them a bit, because honestly they both deserve to be talked about. His first suit was pretty similar to the Spider-Man costume that we're all familiar with, but has a lot more blue and featured a more skull-like spider. It was made of unstable molecule fabric, similar to all of the costumes of the Fantastic Four, and also featured a cape made of a web-like material called Light Bite. And all this served him very well, but eventually, like all things, it was time for an upgrade. When Miguel joined Parker Industries, Peter created a new spider suit just for him. This version glows red and can also change color. This suit is also made of unstable molecules bonded to Kevlar to increase durability, and has a better integrated Light Bite material to improve its gliding, as well as thrusters are integrated into the boots for launch. It also has more long-range attack options provided by spider saucers running up and down his sleeves and integrated into his gloves. And of course, we can't forget that the suit has an onboard sensor for complete vicinity readings. Check out the original suit in 1992's Amazing Spider-Man number 365, and then the upgraded version in 2015's Spider-Man 2099, Volume 3, number 1.
Number 10. Lady Spider. I want to talk about Lady Spider's suit relative to the time period she is from. May Riley comes to us from what appears to be the turn of the century, at a time where steam-powered ships and locomotives were all the rage, and yet she still manages to craft a fairly impressive costume based on the technology of that time. May's father was an inventor, and it seems she was also bit by the inventing bug. Pardon my bad pun there. After her father passed away, she set to tinkering and creating her own spider costume. It might not be as epic as some of the others on this list, but relative to the time period, it would have been pretty powerful. It comes with a spider harness with 4 functional spider arms attached to it, and of course web shooters of her own design. Number 9. SpiderGwen Suit. Not the comic book Spider-Gwen, but the Spider-Gwen from the Ultimate Spider-Man Disney XD cartoon. This version appears in episode 19 of season 4 in the story Return to the Spider-Verse. Here we learn that Gwen does not have powers just all her own, but instead it is her suit and its gadgets that help to give her her abilities, mimicking the powers that Spider-Man is usually known for. While this doesn't put her suit on the same level as some of Peter's other suits, it does mean that if you had SpiderGwen's suit, you'd basically be at the same level of power when it comes to heroics as any other of your standard spider folk. Her mask even grants SpiderGwen her own version of spider sensibilities. Pretty impressive. Number 8. Enigma Force. So, the Enigma Force isn't so much a suit as it is, well, a force. But last time we talked about Spider-Man suits, a lot of you were sad that it was not included, so this is for all you nerds that love the Spider-Verse and or that time Spider-Man was bonded with the Uni power. For the alternate Spider-Man of Earth 91110 from the What If series and of Earth 13 from the Spider-Verse event, that power never left Peter Parker. While tied to the Enigma Force, all of Spider-Man's abilities were immensely enhanced, and he also gained the ability to see things at a subatomic level and manipulate matter and energy. The only reason the Enigma Force is so low on this list is because it's still not technically a suit, but it does have a stylized look that makes it appear like its own suit of sorts, so I'll give it to you. Number 7. Future Foundation Suit. This suit was given to Spider-Man by the Future Foundation and was created by Mr. Fantastic. The Future Foundation suit was a suit that Spider-Man wore during his time with the FF, where he took over Johnny Storm's place on the team's roster after the Human Torch was suspected dead. Of course, this is comics, so the Human Torch would eventually return. The Future Foundation costume is made out of unstable molecules, which makes it more durable, prevents it from getting dirty, and can allow the wearer to change its appearance and color scheme with a simple thought, helping Peter to go from his everyday civilian appearance to superhero in an instant, which is pretty powerful for a costume vigilante with a secret identity to uphold. Number 6. Mark II Suit. I love that Spider-Man numbers his suits like Iron Man. It's real cute. The Mark II is a suit Spider-Man created when he was suffering from a loss of his Spidey sense. To compensate, this armor was bulletproof and more durable than most, allowing him to get shot multiple times by villain and mass murderer the Insane Massacre without being harmed in battle. The suit was used by both Superior Spider-Man and Peter Parker himself. It also came with magnetic web shooters which helped to block radio frequencies so that Massacre could not activate his traps from a distance. Number 5. Superior Spider-Man Suit. This is the suit that belonged to Otto Octavius when he took up the mantle of Spider-Man, following his body swap with Peter, or at least one of his suits, because he kind of updated it a few times. Originally, Otto was just going to steal Peter's body to use for his own means, as his old body was failing him. But Peter convinced Otto to carry on his work as a hero, and Octavius set out to be an even better Spider-Man as Superior Spider-Man. The costume that he wears is lined with carbonadium to protect against any unwanted mind swapping, as Otto obviously did not want to become a victim of exactly the kind of plot he had previously executed against his former nemesis Peter Parker. The carbonadium lighting would of course help to make the mask more durable as well. The suit was also later upgraded to feature spider arms, a nod to Otto's Octo arms, its own AI, webbed wings, and laser beams. Pew pew, laser beams. Number 4. Uru Suit. During the Fear Itself event, pretty much every hero was given their own set of Uru weapons and armor after Tony Stark made a deal with Odin to allow him to work alongside the dwarves of Nidavellir for Spider-Man to wear in and wield in the upcoming war against the fear god known as the Serpent, aka Thor's uncle called Borson. He was given a suit made of one of the strongest metals in the universe, Uru, and 2 gauntlets, one for each wrist, equipped with Uru blades. These items were so powerful that Odin insisted after the war they should all be returned and destroyed, melted back down into the Uru stone-like metal they were crafted out of. Uru metal is just too powerful apparently, we can't have it. Number 3. Iron Spider. This suit was created by Tony Stark himself in the MCU, but it also takes inspiration from a comic book version by the same name, also made by Tony Stark. In the MCU, it's gifted to Parker following the events where he defeats and helps to capture the supervillain Vulture. In the comics, it's given to him by Tony during the events of Civil War I, where Peter fought on Iron Man's side in the first Civil War, which of course was between Tony Stark and Captain America Steve Rogers. This armor has also been worn by Mary Jane in the comics, who used it to come to Spider-Man and Iron Man's defense when they were battling villain regent. Number 2, a Mark IV suit. What's better than having a millionaire slash genius slash superhero use his resources and intellect to build and gift you a suit? Being a millionaire slash genius slash superhero who uses your own resources and intellect to build your own suit. That's exactly where the Mark IV SpiderMan suit came from. The suit comes with built-in Spider-Man powers, so it is super strong in the sense that it can turn a normal wearer into Spider-Man when needed. Spider-Man added this in to keep his secret identity safe, giving this model to those he trusted to impersonate him when needed so that no one would suspect Peter Parker was actually Spider-Man. The suit is insanely durable and comes with spider drones, immunity to poison, enhanced senses and strength, and a brain control override function, which shocks anyone who comes into physical contact with the suit, basically causing their motor functions to go haywire for a lengthy period of time. This was shown to be successful when used on the extremely powerful sorceress Morgan Le Fay. Number 1, Symbiote Suit. This suit created waves when it first appeared in Amazing Spider-Man issue 252. Originally it was meant to just be a change-up of costume colors for the web-spinning hero, but fans were not huge on these new colors, the black and white, and many expressed how much they missed the old classic red and blue costume. Because of this, the black suit, as it was known then, was given a backstory wherein it was explained that the suit was not just a suit, but an actual living being, an alien creature known as a symbiote, which Peter had found during Secret Wars. Despite the fact that Peter would eventually part ways with it, the suit would stick around in the comics and eventually find its way to longtime host Eddie Brock. The suit adopted Spider-Man's powers, was immune to Spidey sense detection, could shapeshift, and has since seen an even greater power-up over time, with it later on getting wings, poisonous fangs, a powerful healing factor, the ability to fuse with other symbiotes in order to grow its own strength, and even channel energy, use it to fire blasts, and could even absorb energy as well. It also has its own pocket dimension, which can be used to store an infinite number of things, I presume, though it's only ever been mentioned once. I'd kind of love it if Peter had put something in there like years ago when he was wearing the suit and forgot about it, and then randomly Eddie just like pulled that item out of thin air and was like, hey, where did this come from? Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you enjoyed learning some more about some of Spider-Man's most resilient suits. What are some of your favorite Spider-Man suits? Which do you think is the strongest? Who is your favorite hero of all of the Spider folks? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Alternate Versions of Polaris. Wakanda Kid comments, Lorna finally gets some love. She's a great character and should have more time in the spotlight. I agree, I'm so glad we're getting to dig deeper into who she is now in the present and X Factor, and I just can't wait to explore her connection with Krakoa even more, which I think is just super neat. Sarah Wilker shares, she was always one of my favorite characters because I like Magneto, but I like her hair. I agree, I love her green hair, it definitely makes her stand out, and also just green hair is cool. I've personally always wanted to have purple hair, but as an actor I feel like that will never happen. Someone cast me in a role where I can have purple hair, please. I think her character as well, in terms of her relationship with her father and developing her own sense of self, is also super interesting.
Number 10, Mark 66. Trapped and alone in 1 million BC, we see our Tony Stark of Earth 616 forced to build a new suit from the materials around him in order to survive. Dubbed the Ice Armor, Mark 66 is powered by some vibranium batteries that he was able to salvage from the Extremist armor, however it isn't capable of a whole lot considering how low tech it is. The armor seemed to only have very basic offensive capabilities, firing icicles from a wrist cannon. It was capable of repulsor blasters as well, but the more vibranium power the armor used, the more it melted because, you know, it's made of ice. As for defensive capabilities, the armor actually did a decent job because it allowed Tony to survive going toe-to-toe with Mephisto, but was quickly melted as a result of firing a massive energy blast to use the Time Stone. Take a look at this icy armor for yourself in 2020's Avengers Volume 8, number 31. Number 9, Bio Armor Mark 1. Hailing from Earth 55,921 comes a Tony Stark with a bit of an interesting twist. Maria Stark got bit by a monkey when she was pregnant with Tony and contracted a regenerative virus that mutated Tony's body in a pretty terrible way. His body grew some additional neural tissue throughout his body, meaning that his entire body was treated like a brain. So he was incredibly smart, but in constant pain due to overstimulation. Upon his birth, his dad coated his skin in a bacterial bio-armor in order to protect his skin. Fast forward a little bit, we see Tony working on his own versions of the Iron Man technology, and he became the Tony Stark that we all know and love. Besides the, you know, whole my body is a brain thing. Aside from just being a shield for Tony's chronic pain, the suit is also capable of flight, repulsor blasters, has a thought scrambler that can temporarily shut down all mental functions, and can even cut off superpowered beings from using their powers. This suit does actually have its limitations though, as it feeds directly off its user, which doesn't really matter too much for Tony since his entire body regenerates. But if anyone else used it, they would be in some serious trouble. Check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2005's Ultimate Iron Man #1. Number 8. Overload Armor. Appearing in the What If Marvel series, we have a Tony Stark of Earth 64,894 and his Overload Armor. After his first suit proved to be pretty much a success, Tony decided to patent his new technology and sell it off to the world. But this proved to be a bit of a problem because it created this huge arms race between governments and effectively ended the age of heroes, since naturally powered heroes couldn't keep up with the new tech enhanced ones. Because of this, Tony became a bit of a loner and sealed himself off because he feared that he would get hurt or even killed for the outcome of his actions, but he never stopped working on new tech just to stay ahead of the game. This is where the Overload Armor came into play, a massive suit that Tony used to absorb all of Magneto's magnetic powers, causing the suit to explode and envelop the planet in an energy wave that would render all of his tech useless, sending the world back into the Dark Age. After fighting with Magneto and his acolytes, Tony made up for his sins by not only taking down the villains, but also by forcing the world, in a very nice way, to use their funds for less harmful technology. Check out this suit for yourself, starting with 1994's What If Volume 2, number 64. Number 7. AntiTransformer Armor. Coming to us from Earth 7642, the crossover Earth that gave us some great stories like Hulk vs. Superman, Uncanny X-Men vs. Teen Titans, and of course, New Avengers and Transformers. Made out of carbonite nanotube transistors and powered by 15 amperes, this armor was created when Tony heard some rumors that giant alien robots, i.e. the Transformers, were hiding out on Earth. It was Transformer sized and made specifically for combat with them. But the armor wasn't fully combat ready at the time it saw action though. It had severe energy management issues. Specifically, it was extremely energy intensive and ran low on power very quickly. Additionally, it was also prone to overload if power was supplied from an outside source. Nevertheless though, it served Iron Man well in his confrontation with the Decepticons, but was ultimately beheaded by Megatron, and Iron Man then exited the oversized suit and continued combat in his Extremist armor. Funnily enough, after the battle was over, Tony thought about what improvements he could make for another anti-Transformer suit, planning to make it even bigger than the last. Check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2007's New Avengers / Transformers, number 2. Number 6. Mark 45 Deep Space Armor. For a brief period of time, Stark traveled out into space to work with the Guardians of the Galaxy in hopes of understanding what was happening in the cosmos just a little bit better. In order to do so, he needed to create a suit that not only allowed him to survive the harshness of space, but also allowed him to move around with ease. The Deep Space Armor that he created is absolutely incredible, as it's capable of traveling at warp speed for interplanetary travel, featured upgraded versions of all its normal weapons, and came equipped with an armor extension similar to the Hulkbuster armor known as the Saturn V armor, specifically designed for landing on harsher planets. The suit also came equipped with the upgraded Pepper AI system, which was capable of taking over the suit in case of emergencies, and it had the Stark Omniversal multitasking software installed in it, meaning that Tony could control all of his suits on Earth from light years away. This suit is one of the most adaptable models Tony has ever created, and I highly recommend you check it out for yourself, starting with its first appearance in 2013's Iron Man Volume 5, number 5. Number 5. Mark 48 Cold Iron Armor. Another suit coming from the mind of Tony Stark of Earth 616 is the Cold Iron Armor, formerly known as Mark 48. It was first used by him after a stealth mission gone wrong, and Stark found himself in need of some reinforcement. At first glance, it doesn't look all that powerful in the conventional sense, but that's because it's specifically designed for the interaction with the magic realm rather than the human realm. What was otherwise a regular Iron Man suit was altered with the help of the magician Siobhan Haldane, who basically created something to help Stark survive in the world of the Dark Elves. The suit itself is made of cold metal, so just touching it weakens the Dark Elves, and it can also fire weapons made of that same iron, allowing the Armored Avenger to live up to his name just a little bit more, while being effective against the things that have a weakness to that material. All in all, this makes him deadly enough for the Elves, who normally, for mortals, are a big threat, and that is why this suit is on our list today. Check it out for yourself in 2014's Iron Man Volume 5, number 24. Number 4. Mark 29 Extremist. Yep, that is right, I'm actually talking about the Extremist armor this time. In an attempt to take down the Extremist-powered Malin, Tony did the only logical thing he could think of. Inject himself with a modified dose of Extremist to heal his injuries and allow him to pilot a suit that he'd been working on that was a bit tougher and a lot lighter than anything else he had built before. The modified dose allowed the crucial undersheath of the Iron Man suit to be super compressed and stored in the hollows of Tony's bones. The undersheath became directly wired to Tony's brain, which allowed him to control the new Iron Man armor with thought and even interface with other technologies. As one of Tony's more famous and recognizable suits, you probably already know a bit about it and what it's capable of, but I'm gonna give you the rundown anyways. This suit was capable of regeneration for both the suit and its wearers, could be piloted remotely, allowed Tony to access pretty much any form of technology, could time travel, and was pretty adaptable as the neural net would not only protect the wearer from superpowered attacks, but could also simulate them. Also, can't forget that it came equipped with the standard unibeam, pulse bolts, and flight ability as well. Why not check it out for yourself, starting with 2005's Iron Man Volume 4, number 4. Number 3, Mark 38 Uru Armor. Making its debut in the Fear Itself storyline, the Uru Armor, also known as the Iron Destroyer, was an enchanted bleeding edge armor that was based off the Destroyer, enhanced with Asgardian magic, and covered in Asgardian Uru metal. During the War of the Serpent, Odin Borson let Stark have access to the forges and created an arsenal of Uru weapons to combat the enemy forces raising the Earth. In order to acquire his own enhancements, Tony merged the systems of the bleeding edge armor with Uru, turning it into the Iron Destroyer until the end of the battle. This specific suit's capabilities are not entirely known, but since it is an improvement on the bleeding edge armor, then we can only assume it still has all those capabilities of that suit, such as regeneration, that whole energy blade and deflector shields thing, and of course, the normal weaponry that you would expect. Now, just imagine all of that, coupled with the almighty power of Asgardian magic and a near indestructible metal. That would make for one ridiculously OP suit. So why not check it out for yourself in 2011's Fear Itself number 7, and let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Number 2, Mark 68. Now, if you're not familiar with the more recent Iron Man storyline, don't worry, I will not spoil too much of it for you, but just in case you don't want to know anything about it, you might want to skip ahead a little bit. After Tony finally realized he was the real Tony Stark, it's weird, I know, but it makes sense in context, trust me, he started working on this specific suit using all of the virtual resources available to him. What sets his suit apart from his other suits is that it's not actually made of metal or any matter at all. This suit is composed of solid holograms from the E-scape. This allows Tony to create any weapon he could possibly think of, including repulsor beams and unibeams. The armor also augments Tony's strength to the point where he could easily rip apart the armor of his brother Arno. Now defensively, the armor can protect against any standard weapons like missiles and unconventional ones like repulsor beams as well. I think the best way to sum up the suit is with a quote from Tony Stark himself. "Come on, Arno, still making armor out of metal? How very 2020. I'm a futurist. My new suit's made of an entire world, the E-scape. Solid hologram, virtual armor, it's only my limit. My imagination." Take a look at this armor for yourself, starting with 2020's Iron Man 2020, Volume 2, number 5. And number 1, Zirin Armor. Making its debut in What If Newer Fantastic Four, a new iteration of the Fantastic Four was introduced to us made up of Iron Man, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and the Hulk. This iteration goes up against Thanos as they are apparently the best chance at taking him down, and they do actually succeed with Wolverine cutting off his arm. But anyways, I'm going to focus on the Zirin suit now. When Zirin, the tester of the Celestials, was murdered by Thanos via the use of the Infinity Gauntlet, the newer Fantastic Four brought Zirin's arm through their modified negative zone portal where Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, who had been permanently separated from the Hulk at the time, could study it properly. After learning that the Celestials controlled their armor via sheer willpower and thought alone, Tony managed to adjust the armor to respond to human thought, and linked it to the negative zone using Mr. Fantastic's technology, and then took control of the armor and made it his own. The actual capabilities of this suit are not fully known, but with the vast cosmic powers it should possess, the armor is able to withstand planet-shattering impacts with ease, and the armor is able to withstand strikes from nuclear warheads, and is said to even be more powerful than some of the Celestials out there. And not to mention, it's said to be even more powerful than the God Killer Mark II. If you've got any more info on this suit, please let me know in the comments below. I am honestly in love with it and would love to know some more. For now though, check it out for yourself in 2009's What If Newer Fantastic Four. Number 10, Model 13, the Hulkbuster Armor. Starting with an absolute classic, the Hulkbuster Armor has been reworked throughout the years many times, those models being Model 36 and 52, however, let's focus on the first iteration for today. Rather than a full suit of armor like most other suits Tony has created, the Hulkbuster Armor is actually an add-on to the modular armor that was introduced in 1994's Iron Man number 300. Basically, this armor had different add-ons used for a variety of situations, ranging from microsurgery equipment to the massive Hulkbuster. So, I guess kind of think of it as the Mr. Potato Head of Iron Man armor. This particular add-on was used when Hulk confronted Iron Man over the production of gamma bombs while partnered with Stain International, and you probably guessed it, but they did have a pretty big fight over it. Possessing the standard repulsors and unibeam that are incorporated in all base Iron Man suits, The Hulkbuster armor integrated a magno-hydraulic pseudo-musculature structure, which provided enhanced strength of what is assumed to be able to lift at least 175 tons. Sensors were also adapted to focus on detecting gamma radiation, and it had impact-resistant carbon composite plating and an anchoring system so he could withstand any hit that came his way. Although the modular armor appeared in Iron Man number 300, the Hulkbuster armor didn't appear until a few issues later in Iron Man number 304. But, I mean, we're all pretty familiar with this one, I assume, since it has already appeared on the big screen in Avengers Age of Ultron. So, let's move on to some stronger and maybe lesser known armors. Number 9, Model 57 3FB. Known officially as the Fin Fang Foom Buster, this suit was designed by Tony alongside Stark Unlimited as a countermeasure against his longtime enemy, Fin Fang Foom. Before we dive more into this design, I do just want to say this one is probably my favorite suit design but I probably am a little bit biased considering I grew up on Gundam and Power Rangers, so anytime I see a blocky looking behemoth of a robot, I am instantly in love. But anyways, let's not dive too far into this tangent. Let's get back to the 3FB. Deployed by Stark to intercept Triple F, that is what I'm calling Fin Fang Foom because my god, that is a real mouthful, when he attacked Manhattan. This suit was deployed as a set of autopiloted air repulsor cannons, and in true Megazord fashion, they combined together to create the 20-story tall suit powerful enough to keep Triple F at bay. Alongside the standard Iron Man suit capabilities, this suit can emit electrical discharges from the palms of its gauntlets. Now, unfortunately, Triple F was able to land a critical hit on this armor, forcing Tony to eject from it and continue the fight in the Model 56 armor, and since then we haven't seen much of it. If you want to see this suit in action for yourself, check it out in 2018's Tony Stark Iron Man number 1. Number 8, Model 22 Thor Buster. Similar to Batman and his contingency plan for the Justice League, it appears that Tony is ready to fight the other members of the Avengers if he has to, although I really doubt he wants to because some of them are literal gods. In this case, Thor gave Tony an Asgardian crystal with the hopes of creating a safer and cleaner power source for Earth. But after an Odin Force-powered and angry Thor begins to rampage because some Asgardian worshippers were killed, Tony is kind of forced to design a suit of armor powered by the crystal that is powerful enough to stop the almighty god of thunder. With a similar design to the Destroyer armor, this suit utilizes the mystical Asgardian energy for everything from flight to life support, and it's basically invulnerable with Thor being the only thing able to damage it. Unfortunately, it did not stick around for too long though, because once Thor got tired of fighting with Tony, he just straight up ripped the suit in half, and thankfully Tony wasn't in it anymore as he had already ejected himself, knowing this was a fight he could probably not win. Now I highly recommend you check this fight out for yourself because it is really well done, so head on over to 2003's Iron Man Volume 3 number 64 and let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Coming in at number 7, we have Iron Lad's armor. Stepping away from Tony Stark for a hot second, let us take a look at the armor Nathaniel Richards wears as Iron Lad. This neurokinetic suit was actually given to him by Kang the Conqueror, his future self, and Nate decided that instead of following in his own footsteps, he would travel to the past and enlist the help of the Avengers. However, they had already been disbanded. After downloading Vision's operating system and the Avengers failsafe program into his suit, he took up the guise of Iron Lad with plans to assemble the Young Avengers. While wearing this armor, Nate is able to lift 10 tons, create temporal divergences allowing him to travel through time, fire concussive blasts from his fingertips, and fly. This suit is also connected directly to his thoughts and emotions, so it's able to manifest and transform it into whatever he's thinking. For example, say if someone grabbed him and he felt scared, the suit might create some spikes to get the attacker away. During this fight with Kang the Conqueror, Nate actually removes the armor to prevent himself from being tracked, and thanks to the Vision operating system, it becomes fully sentient, allowing Nate to return to his own timeline knowing that there will be someone or something around to protect the people as part of the Young Avengers. First appearing in 2005's Young Avengers number 1, why not give this whole storyline a read for yourself? Number 6, Model number 9. Now this one doesn't really get a fancy title like the other ones for some reason, but that doesn't make it any less powerful. After just one look at it, you're probably really confused why I put it on this list today, and rightly so because it is one of Tony's earliest models. Tony finished this model just before the first Armor Wars and was very reluctant to use it due to its high power capabilities. However, he was later forced to use it to stop firepower after he was previously defeated in his other suits, and needless to say he kinda got a taste for it because he continued to work as Iron Man in this suit for quite some time. Equipped with a battle computer that can track up to 60 enemies at once, a universal translator, an energy shield, and so much more, this suit is really not one you want to mess with. However, that's not why I thought it should be mentioned today. This suit is unique because at one point it actually fused with the Sword of Legend, Excalibur, bestowing Tony with magical powers along with his already incredibly advanced technology. And now with a badass new look, this suit also made him invulnerable, and this suit allowed Tony to defeat an extra-dimensional eye monster before reverting back to its original form. It sucks that this form didn't last longer, but hey, I guess if you make Iron Man invincible for too long, his ego might get bigger, and I don't think anyone would be able to handle that. The model number 9 suit first appears in 1988's Iron Man number 231, but if you're only interested in seeing it fused with Excalibur, don't worry, I got you. Check out Iron Man number 249 and 250. Number 5, we have Model 50 Endocyme Armor. Following the inversion spell that flipped his moral axis, Tony designed the Endocyme Suit, a symbiotic suit made completely of a liquid smart metal that hardens when in contact with his body. Based off the symbiote's biology, this suit is basically meant to be on his person at all times, and it can even be controlled remotely, going as far as to take a humanoid form that is able to take commands through a psionic link. The abilities of the suit are absolutely insane. It's capable of absorbing energy, sustaining electrical currents like a never-ending taser, and even has the ability to increase its size into a makeshift Hulkbuster style suit. Fans have seen this armor go up against the likes of Storm and Spectre and come out on top with little to no damage taken. Or unfortunately, or thankfully, I guess I'm not really sure at this point, it was destroyed during the Secret War and nobody has seen anything close to it ever since. Making a small cameo in 2014's Avengers Volume 5, number 32, we are fully introduced to this beast of a suit in 2015's Superior Iron Man number 1, so go take a look at it for yourself. Coming in at number 4, we have Model 51 Model Prime Armor. With the prototype first appearing in 2015's Contest of Champions number 1, this suit's full version came to life in the Invincible Iron Man Volume 3 number 1, and man, it is a pretty dang good suit. It basically combines all the aspects of Tony's other suits, making it adaptable to any task at hand. Even though it was designed solely because Tony felt threatened by Riri Williams, the 15-year-old MIT student who was able to reverse engineer some of his tech, it's a good thing it came to be because it has been very useful. Comprised of small hexagonal scales, this suit features upgraded versions of the standard Iron Man armor weaponry such as repulsor blasters that can cut through enemies with phasing abilities, and 3 unibeams on his chest, effectively making it a tri-beam. This suit also has some new tricks up its sleeves, such as a new onboard cloaking system. It can work autonomously if the pilot is injured, and most impressively, this suit can change shape at a moment's notice into anything from a sword to a complete shift into a Hulkbuster-like suit. It's also immune to a number of attacks, namely sonic attacks and EMPs, and can take a serious beating from the likes of Captain Marvel and so many more. There has also been another character in the Marvel Universe who actually donned this specific suit for a bit, but you know what, I'll let you find out who it was for yourself. Number 3, Model 37, Bleeding Edge Armor. Dubbed the next step after Extremist by Tony himself, this suit was created while he was trying to reinvent himself and his armor. Stark worked with Reed Richards to create this after getting away from running S.H.I.E.L.D. and being the head of the world. This suit existed inside of Tony Stark's body, literally forming around him thanks to incredibly powerful nanotech, and I know as unrealistic as a set of armor made out of nanotech may seem, the Bleeding Edge Armor is arguably one of the best suits that Tony Stark has ever worn. Not only does it bring the benefits of an improved Extremist to the table, the nanotech that powers it basically ensures that Iron Man is ready to fight whenever and wherever. By creating a second layer of artificial muscle over Stark's body, the armor is capable of healing itself and making it effectively invulnerable. And that, coupled with all his normal weaponry alongside a new energy blade and deflector shields, makes you wonder if it could get any better than this. It also happens to be one of Stark's most popular suits, become the hero's default look for several years, as well as the main inspiration for Tony's suit in Iron Man 3. Now, considering how quickly Iron Man can switch out of suits, 3 years with a single set of armor is pretty impressive, and that's why it's so high on this list today. Check it out in action for yourself in 2010's Invincible Iron Man Volume 2, number 25. Coming in at number 2, we have Model 61 God Killer Armor Mark II. Based on the original God Killer armor created by the Aspirant many eons earlier, Tony created this celestial-sized armor and kept it hitting, having it orbit Mars in case one day a threat was big enough to warrant using it. Powered by 8 nuclear reactors, this suit is pretty basic when it comes to weaponry, only possessing repulsor blasters. However, its speed and strength make up for it, being able to travel between Earth and Mars in a matter of minutes, and able to lift celestial beings off the ground. When the Dark Celestials came to attack Earth in 2018's Avengers Volume 8, number 5, Tony felt it was finally time and deployed this behemoth of a machine. Allowing him to hold his own against the Dark Celestials for a short period of time, it ended up being no match for the Almighty Beings after Callus the Void was able to rip off its left arm. Hoping that taking one out would cause others to retreat, Tony attempted to launch the suit into space to blow it up. However, he was stopped by an army of dead Celestials reanimated by the Horde. With no other option, Tony ejected himself from the suit and caused it to self-destruct. Even though this armor only lasted 2 issues, its sheer power and overall manufacturing cost of over $4 billion is what landed it so high on today's list. And finally, number 1, we have Model 63 Godbuster. Originating from the Escape, a virtual reality world created by Tony that allowed his mind to become unfettered from the restraints of the human brain, giving him the inspiration and knowledge he needed to create the only thing capable of destroying Motherboard, the Godbuster Armor. Though little is known about the suit's full capabilities, Tony's brother Arno deemed it to be his masterpiece, referring to it as the ultimate weapon. And even Ironheart couldn't get a full read on its power level, stating that the armor radiated more power than anything she had ever seen before. After successfully taking down the villain, Tony realized this suit was far too powerful to remain in the real world and made the decision to fly the suit back into the factory it was created in and caused it to self-destruct, making the resources needed to recreate it and the suit completely destroyed and useless. Arno does eventually recreate a version of the suit that he wears as his own, but you know, I think we can talk about that another time. For now though, this is all we know about the best Iron Man suit ever made, so why not check it out for yourself in 2019's Tony Stark Iron Man number 10 and number 11.
Kicking off the list at number 10, we have the zebra print suit. So ever since those party rock guys started shuffling around town, we've seen a lot of teens rocking the zebra print look. And while it might be a nice way to draw attention to your legs and maybe your fresh new clean white Vans, it's not the best look for, say, I don't know, a bat suit. So yeah, back in 1960, we got the pleasure of meeting Zebra Man, who's a villain that uses magnetic lines of force after he created a device that granted him these magnetic powers. So Batman and Robin both got a close-up look at this machine, and maybe Batman got a little bit too close because his suit and skin turned into the same zebra stripes that we saw. So now we have Zebra Batman. The only difference was he didn't have the belt that Zebra Man used, so he wasn't able to control said new powers. And it just looked, well, you know how it looks. And before we go on to number 9, if you guys could go ahead and smash that like button right down below, because it helps us out quite a lot here in the studio. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being fans. Now let's get back to some Batman suits. Number 9, 1940s serial Batsuit. So the first ever live action Batman was played by an actor named Lewis Wilson back in 1943. And he was part of this 15-chapter serial from Columbia Pictures and included Douglas Croft as Robin as well. And I'll get into the suit design in just a sec, but let's just talk about the storyline first. I mean, we have the Batman during World War II, and he's trying to take down Agent Dr. Daka and put an end to his plans. See, this was right after the attack on Pearl Harbor, and Dr. Daka was operating a sabotage ring in Gotham City. So naturally, it's time to suit up. Now fans look back at the costume design and cringe. I mean, nowadays everything is so sleek and military, so when you see this, it comes off as a little silly. I mean, the arms and legs are baggy. It looks like a bat suit your uncle pulls out every Halloween. You know, the same one he's had for like 50 years. And the belt too? Dude, how the hell are you sneaking up on some crooks when you're literally wearing a disco ball for a belt? You'll blind them before anything. They won't even see you coming. They won't have eyes left. What does it for me personally is the uneven bat ears. It looks like a Great Dane when its ears are taped up when it's young. Number 8, Sir William. This one comes straight from Earth 9, and DC says that this universe still exists, which is pretty neat. So basically the idea was in 1997, DC Comics launched Tangent Comics, which was a new take on our hero's origins. We all love those. So as you guessed from the name Sir William, this Batman was fresh out of the Arthurian times. Sir William was a knight of King Arthur's Round Table who had to pay for some previous faults. See, Morgan Le Fay seduced him and convinced him to fight King Arthur using her magic. So, not a nice guy. He's actually probably great, I don't know. So he was confined to his own castle, which as far as groundings go, not that bad. I mean, I never got to hang out in Castle Bat when I got grounded growing up, so what the hell is this? Sir William discovered that he had the ability to project his spirit into his armor and have it walk free. Kind of like the pair of pants from Disney's Onward, you know, the pants that just walk around? It's kind of like that, except less sad. And as far as Batsuit designs go, this one is just messy. I mean, the spikes on the shoulders are just covering your blind spots, not to mention the added weight, the Mohawk helmet as well. I mean, I think it's gonna be a no from me in terms of design. But he's mastered sword fighting, okay? I'll give him that. He can sword fight, that's pretty cool. We all love swords. Number 7, Azrael. Better known as John Paul Valley, he is a vigilante who resided in Gotham City. See, after Bane broke Batman's back, he took on the mantle in the Nightfall story arc. See, John Paul was able to defeat Bane when he stepped up to the bat. Pun intended. And he replaced the Caped Crusader. But in doing so, he made more than a few changes to the suit. Technical changes, but also, of course, design. So the final product had him looking like a cross between Batman and like an Autobot. He has the blue and yellow metallic armor, which looks like a hot mess already. And on top of it, he even added other gadgets in, like he added claws, dual mag weapons, and of course a cape that definitely does not work in terms of, you know, aviation. That's not gonna fly. That's literally not gonna fly. Sure, he made the Nightfall story arc interesting, but if we're looking at just suits here, this takes the cake easily on this list. Number 6, oh yeah. Number 6, Batman Forever. Of course, on a list about bat suits, we must bring up the suit that changed our childhoods forever. The one with the bat nipples. Sounds like a Friends episode that didn't make it. The late Joel Schumacher did Batman Forever in 1995, and Val Kilmer was a pretty fun Batman. Jim Carrey was a pretty fun Riddler. Tommy Lee Jones was... It was the 90s, okay? It was weird. The weirdest detail of this version of Batman's suit has to be this. I mean, we don't need nipples on the suit. We just don't need them. We don't at all. Even if they did somehow help with chafing, they would have to be perfectly lined up all day. I would be fixing that every 15 seconds. He said he sent costume maker Jose Fernandez photos of Greek statues and opted for more of an anatomical look. Hence the, you know, shredded abs. And then when he saw the nipples on the suit, he thought, that's cool. Those right there, those some cool nipples. And he's still glad that he did it to this day. Well, so are we, because now we can talk about it some more in this lovely list. Number 5, Batman and Robin. Another late Schumacher film. Okay, another suit to talk about. It's kind of hard not to talk about the costume details when it shows all the details very close up. I mean, some of the shots we get here, I swear I can smell the fabric. Like, imagine if 3D was this advanced back then. Oh my god. You'd look in your popcorn and find Robin's ass. You're like, how did this get here? The suits changed from Michael Keaton's version, yet somehow they got worse? It got worse. So now George Clooney was rocking this hard plastic nipply looking suit, and even better, Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl and Chris O'Donnell as Robin sported the same design near the end of the film. Just in case, you know, one new suit wasn't enough. I get it, I mean the new suits are supposed to prevent against frost damage, all that jazz, but how much damage protection do we need down there, guys? I mean, I know you're George Clooney and all, but like, that's a lot of armor for, you know. Number 4, Jim Gordon. So after the events of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Endgame storyline, we found a new home for the Batman cowl. This time around, it belongs to former police commissioner Jim Gordon. See, his initial bat suit is actually pretty neat. It complements his lanky body, the all black look with the dark yellow outlines, and no cape. Thank God, I'd rather have Batman with no cape than a cape that looks like it got shredded by a velociraptor. Any day. I'm a fan of his entire look here, okay? Now, if we did a list of the best Batman suits, I would for sure throw this one on there. Now, unfortunately, he also has this military suit that he uses over top of that already existing cool one. They purposely designed it so it wouldn't look like Iron Man, and that worked. I mean, mostly. So the powerful armor got the job done, but it looked clunky. It didn't look nice. Fans didn't like the giant bunny ears, and they could for sure go without the War Machine type missile shoulder pads. Great storyline again, but seeing him disappear into that armor brought a frown to my face every time I turned the page. Number 3, all of the colors. So in 1937 issue 241 of Detective Comics, we find Batman on the cover with quite the dilemma. It's a dilemma we're all probably used to by now. He changes up the colors of his costume quite a few times in here, but why? Maybe he wore a similar color the day before, or hey, maybe on Wednesdays he wears pink. You never know. Or maybe this has something to do with the Comics Code Authority. See, in order to appeal to the public eye that comics weren't just this dark and gritty thing, they tried to change up his outfit a few times to keep it fun. Hey, it's pink now, look, we're having fun. So in this issue, we have Robin hurting his arm, but we also have Batman sporting some fun new colorful suits. Eventually, just putting all the colors together and rocking the infamous rainbow suit, which I'm a fan of. You know, if you can't pick one color, pick them all. Let's go. The only reason I have to include the rainbow suit on a list about the worst Batman suits is because it hurts your eyes to look at no matter what page it's on. See, some sequences show Batman punching a criminal and the yellow background blends in with the yellow part of his costume. Same goes for any background color really. Like, if I was standing here in front of a green screen with all the colors on, green would just be really hard to focus on. It would blend in with the background. It's why we don't wear green in any videos, because looks like that in the background. So the rainbow outfit was thought to be left in the late 50s, but it made a fashionable return in Francis Manipal's Trinity issue 1. Number 2, Stan Lee's Batman. The late Stan Lee had his take on the Caped Crusader back in 2001, and DC Comics asked him to reimagine all their famous heroes as if he had done it himself, which sounds like a pretty exciting event. So he came up with Wayne Williams, a cross between Luke Cage and, of course, Bruce Wayne. And we see these in action in Just Imagine Volume 1. So he was convicted of a crime he didn't do, and then learned a few skills in the slammer while he was serving. And then when he was released, he first made a costume and tried to make some money wrestling. Okay, sounds familiar, homemade costume, some wrestling. If you're into a Batman that looks more like an actual bat, this is a great place to go. And finally, number 1, Bat Baby. Issue 147 of Batman, right on the cover we see regular size Robin rocking a regular size Robin outfit, and then we see a Bat Baby with a Bat Baby suit to complete the picture. Look out, it's Bat Baby and Robin? Question mark? That's what a bystander is shouting right on the front cover and all. So what's going on here? Why is Batman wearing jean short overalls? Why is he a baby? Also, why is he a child? Turns out Nails Finney brought them into a trap, and now Batman has shrunk down to the size of a small child. Little baby. What's even better about this whole ordeal is that he still has the strength of a full-grown Batman. So he can kick your ass. He's just tiny. And the headlines were amazing in the news that week. Even in the comic, it says, "Gangland turns Batman into baby." And then the photo is just Batman all moody standing there like, I don't know why he's moody, like he's still the same Batman, he's just small. Actually, you know what? I do know why he's moody. He's an infant. So Robin at one point even has to carry Batman to the Batmobiles, like carry him, because his little fat baby legs can't get him around so fast. So what does Batman do? He embraces it. He's like, fine, I'll dress like a baby. That's what you want, that's what you get. And he does well, or he does okay, rather. Yeah, one of the headlines that you see next reads, Bat Baby does okay for a kid. I mean, he's okay. He just rode a balloon up into the air and then took out 3 criminals as a baby, but definitely just okay, A-okay. The only soft spot on this Batman is the one on the top of his head.